Hi friends, welcome to Pilates with Tal. I'm going to take you through a quick little full body flow right now. So let's get started. We're going to start in a tabletop position and just starting off with a couple cat-cow. So hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips, and we're going to start to curve the spine coming into a cat and then arch coming into a cow. Continuing just like that, just getting used to the movement. Waking up the spine, and just knowing that the focus of this movement isn't so much about getting the tailbone or the head in any one position. It's more about rotating through the spine. So one vertebrae at a time. And if you want to add on to wake up the core, the next time you come into your cat spine, we're going to curl the toes under and hover the knees a couple inches off the mat, lower the knees, come into our cow spine. So continuing just like that, every time we come into a cat, adding a knee hover, and we're here for 5, 4, maybe feeling the low belly wake up, 3, 2, last one, finding a neutral spine. From here, we're going to swing our legs around and come all the way down onto our backs. So knees are bent, heels are on the mat, and then let's interlace the hands behind the head, letting your head hang heavy in your hands, and we're going to start with our first ab curl and lower back down. So just working the core before we add in a bit of extra movement. For 5, head is heavy in the hands, elbows are out wide in the periphery, chin is slightly tucked in, and we're moving ribs in towards hips and then back down. Last 2, and then we're gonna add on the next time you lift up into your curl, you're gonna march your right leg into table, lower everything back down. Left leg into table, lower back down. So your legs are marching one at a time, but your head is just going up and down. So we're not twisting towards the opposite leg yet. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. And the trick here is to keep both hip points heavy equally on the mat, even though we're shifting around the weight from side to side a little bit. So that's really going to get into our deep core. We're here for 3. Last 2. Last 1. And the next time your left leg marches into table, we're going to twist the right elbow in towards it, lower everything back down, and then switch. So lower it all down and then twist towards the opposite knee. We're going to do 5 more sets. So instead of forcing your elbow to touch your knee, instead, we're going to think about the lower rib cage on the side that's twisting, reaching in towards the opposite hip point. So it's more about the core, less about what your elbows and knees can do. 2 more sets. And last one on each side. And then lower everything all the way back down. From here, we're going to take our hands down towards our sides and then bring our legs into tabletop. And then we're going to drop the right toes down towards the mat and lift back up. Left side and lift back up. And notice if you drop your toes too far down towards the mat, if your low back starts to move or try to take over, then just make the range of motion with the leg a bit smaller. So maybe press your low back in towards the mat and make the range of motion a little bit smaller so you can feel it in your core instead of in your back. Otherwise, we're here for 5 on each side. 4. Breathing. And last one. Take a quick second, hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock from side to side. And whenever you're ready, we're gonna bring the legs back into table, but this time we're gonna reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And instead of dropping your left toes down towards the mat with the knee bent, we're gonna extend the left leg as the right arm goes back, and then lift everything back up, switch sides. So even though the legs and arms are doing something different here, we're still paying attention to the low back and making sure that we're not moving from that area. Instead, the core is keeping us stable here. And if that means that you don't drop the leg and arm down as far, that's fine. That's gonna save us from causing any tension in our body in places that we don't want it. So 3 more on each side. Last one, and holding it here. So take a quick moment to reset if you need it. Otherwise, we're gonna take our legs back into table. We're gonna press our right hand in towards our right thigh, and then we're gonna let our left toes drop towards the mat, extend the leg, and then bring it back in. Continuing just like that. And your hand can either be lightly pressed into your right thigh, or you can play with pressing right thigh into right hand a bit more and seeing how much that turns your core on. You might feel a lot more tension here in a good way. We're here for 3, 2, last one, leg comes back into tabletop. From here, we're gonna take the right hand, press it into the left thigh, push left thigh and right hand into one another, and then we're gonna extend the right toes long and back in. Extend and bend. We're here for 8 more. Breathe through it. Still being mindful of the low back. Pressing core in towards your back. And breathing. Last one, and then hug your knees in towards your chest. Take a quick little moment for yourself here. Taking a nice big inhale through the nose, and exhale out the mouth. Legs come back into table. From here, your right hand's gonna come down towards your side. Your left hand is gonna press into left thigh. You're pushing one into the other, and then we're gonna extend the right toes long and back to table. Long, and then back, and keep going here. Noticing if you're carrying tension in the jaw, in the neck, just let it all go and channel the strength into your core. So the rest of your body is soft while we're doing a lot of work through the core. We're here for 3, 2, last one. Right knee comes back into table, and then we're gonna press the left hand in towards the right knee, and then extend the left toes long and back in. Extend and then back in. And you can play with how much you push the left hand in towards the right knee and notice the difference that makes in your core. We're here for 4, 3, 2, last one, back into table, and then give yourself a second here. Knees hug in, and we'll rock from side to side. Letting some breath go. And one last bit of core work here before we switch it up. So whenever you're ready, we're gonna drop the feet back down towards the mat. We're gonna point the right toes up towards the ceiling, grab behind that right thigh, and then curl your head up in towards your right thigh. We're gonna extend the left toes long and then switch it out for scissors. We're here for 9, 8, keep going. Chin tucks in towards chest. Core is active. We're here for 3, 2, 1, and then pause. Let everything go. And then finding your feet on the mat again, left toes up towards the ceiling, grabbing behind the left thighs, or grabbing behind the left thigh, curling up towards the left thigh, kicking the right toes long, and then switch, switch, switch. We're here for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take a moment here. Dropping the feet back on the mat, and we're gonna go right into bridges. So feet are hip width distance apart, and you can start with your hands down towards your sides. From here, we're gonna press into the heels to lift the glutes up towards the ceiling and lower back down, hovering off the mat, so our glutes don't touch. And lift and lower, keep going here. The next time your hips lift, you can take your arms up, and then we drop them down behind us as our hips drop, and up towards the ceiling as our hips go up. So everything's reaching towards the ceiling at the same time. Last 5, 4, 3. Keeping our knees from swaying from side to side. They're nice and stable, and we're pushing into the heels to lift back up. And on our last one, we're gonna stay up, arms reach up, and we're gonna row our elbows in towards our side as our glutes drop halfway down and push everything up. Lower and lift, and keep going just like that. The arms are moving as if they're going through something heavy, so imagining resistance with the arms on the way down and way up for 5, 4, core plugs in towards the back of the spine, 2, last one, we're gonna stay up. Next, we're gonna take our arms, palms face forward, and we're gonna bend our elbows out towards the sides and then towards the ceiling. Lower and lift. Last 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hands come down towards our sides, and then we're gonna do little hip dips here. So dropping our right hip just an inch down, press into the right heel to lift back up. Same thing on the other side. So keep going. Trying to keep knees stable, everything else is stable. Just our hip drops a tiny bit, and we're using the glute on that side to lift it back up, and pushing into the heel helps us get into that place a little bit more. This might help you access the smile line between the glute and hamstring, the lower part of the glute a bit more. And we're here for 3, 2, last one. Lower all the way back down. Hug your knees in towards your chest. And then this time when you take your feet down to the mat, they're gonna be externally rotated and maybe as far as your mat. So from here you need to play with how close your heels are to your glutes to make this movement comfortable in your body. And we're gonna lift our arms up towards the ceiling and just keep them there for this entire series. As we push into the heels, lift the glutes up and lower them back down, lifting and lowering. So knees are staying stable. They're tracking between second and third toes. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna stay at the top here. Hands press in towards one another, and we're gonna bring our knees in towards one another. And as we do, our hands press in together, and then knees open, hands relax. So press everything together and relax. Your hands are staying pressing, but you're just pushing into them and then releasing. Push, release, breathing, because you're probably feeling your whole body activate right now. For 2, last one. Opening the knees, hands come out towards the sides again. And once again, we're gonna lower down into a bridge as our elbows reach out towards the sides and lift everything up together. So lower and hands reach. Keep going. Still imagining as if your arms are moving through mud or water, and still being mindful of the knees here. They're not swaying from side to side, even though they probably want to right now. I'm sure your glutes are screaming, but we're gonna breathe through it instead of letting these little compensatory patterns take over here. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Feel free to take a figure 4 stretch here. So right ankle just behind left knee, foot is flexed, knee is pushed out, and then grab behind the left thigh. Breathing here. And on your next exhale, let's switch it out. And if you need a bit longer in the stretch, feel free to pause the video and then come back to it when you're ready. Otherwise, we're gonna swing the legs forward, finding our tabletop again. And this time, we're gonna start off with a couple cat-cows. So finding knees under hips, hands under shoulders, starting with your cat-cow. And from here, the next time we go into our cow, we're gonna send the left toes back and curving the spine as the knee comes in towards the nose. And keep going here. So last 5, 4, 3, 2, last 1. We're gonna send the left leg out. This time we're gonna send the right arm out and we're gonna curl again, elbow in towards knee as the spine curves and extend everything out long. 9 more. Core stays contracted. Last 5, 4, 3, reaching everything out long, 2, last 1. We're gonna hold the crunch, just hold it here, pushing into left hand, pushing into right knee, hovering through the core for 3, 2, 1. Hand comes down, and we're gonna move straight into the other side. So first, just a couple cat-cows. And then the next time you're in your cow, we're gonna send the right toes back and then bring them in towards your nose and away, and keep moving just like that. Hips are pointing down towards the mat, nice and even. Curving through the spine as the knee comes in, and then extending everything out long. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, last 1, keeping the right toes back behind you, left arm reaches forward, and we're gonna bring the left elbow in towards the right knee and extend. And keep going for 8 more. So crunching as the elbow and knee come together, and then extending everything nice and long. Keep going here. Staying lifted through the right hand, through the left hip. Last 3, 2, last 1. We're gonna hold in our crunch, pushing through the right hand, pushing through the left knee. And then lower everything down, take your knees wide, and let's come into a quick child's pose. So pushing through your hands, feeling a stretch through your glutes, maybe wiggling your hips from side to side. That might feel nice after all that work. And And whenever you're ready, we're gonna wiggle our knees so that they're slightly closer in towards one another. We're gonna curl the toes under, and we're gonna find a downward dog. From this downward dog, we're gonna open the right toes up towards the ceiling and then bend the knee and open through the hip. So nice little hip opener after all that front body work. Hands are pushed equally in towards the mat, and we're just opening through the right hip. Lower back down, and same thing on the other side. So first adjusting your down dog, then left toes reach up towards the ceiling, bending the left knee, and then opening the hip, sending the toes back behind you. Breathing here. Lowering the toes back down. And then very last thing here, we're gonna do a couple eel waves. So rolling forward into plank and using your core to hike your hips back up. Lifting your heels, curling forward through the spine, 2 more. And last one, taking your downward dog in towards a child's pose. Dragging your hands in towards your knees. Taking a last few rounds of cat-cows, but from seated. Two more, just catching your breath. Last one. And you are all done for this short but spicy flow. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for moving with me as always.